No, you're not allowed to use that.
Okay, so here I am showing you the smoothie that I'm making for the kids. My mom always used to call it glop because she made it with yogurt, not ice cream. And so here's the buttermilk. They had it for sale really cheap at the grocery store, so John got like 8 2-quart jars for 99 cents. We have our organic Costco strawberries. I have flax seeds. They're already ground up, so that what they'll do is they'll add a lot of thickness and texture to the glop. And then for sweetener, I'm going to use maple syrup, real maple syrup, not the sugar stuff that just has flavoring. And then a little bit of vanilla extract. When I was training really hard, I would also put a couple of raw eggs into it. But my kids are eating it, and they're not eggs from my chickens. They're from the grocery store, and so I'm not going to put raw eggs into it. Yes?
I was just going to unpack the milk because I didn't want to have any background noise.
Go ahead.
Or you didn't want to have any background noise.
Huh?
Or you didn't want to have background noise. One of us did not want to have background noise.
It's more like a milkshake if you use frozen fruit, but you can just use fresh fruit. But it's just not as cold, and it doesn't taste quite as right. And because they're frozen, it doesn't take very much fruit. If you have bananas on sale, grab bananas, peel them, and stick them two a piece into little Ziploc bags in your freezer, and they're fantastic for this kind of healthy, protein-rich shake type thing. We just got home from the pool, so the kids are supposed to be washing the chlorine out of their hair. The flax seeds really do add nice texture. I love that these were pre-milled at Costco because we use them in chia seed pudding. But they don't have good shelf life if they're not in the fridge or the freezer. So the best way to buy them is to buy them whole, the flax seeds whole, and then grind them up in your blender. You can also use a mortar and pestle if you're off-grid, but that is very tedious. You probably would prefer to have some kind of grain mill. Good maple syrup is about the same price as good honey. They're interchangeable as far as price, but I do like to have the maple syrup around because I feel like it's less sweet than the honey, and if you're making smoothies, this doesn't wrap around the blade the same way that honey would. This is a $20 blender from Target. I've never owned a really big Hootie Doody juicer blender, so I don't know what the comparison is, but since this is pretty much what I do with it. I also make butter in my blender. It's the best way to make butter because it pressurizes it. It doesn't just blend it, it also pressurizes it so that the cream turns into butter very quickly, rather than being a long tedious operation like with a beater. I haven't had caffeine today, but I probably sound a little jittery. I use a lot of canning jars. I prefer to use canning jars because I can use them as a Ziploc, or I can use them to drink out of, or we can use them for canning. But if you use your canning jars for a lot of things with kids, they're going to end up getting chipped, and then you can't use them for pressure cooking or any kind of canning. I actually think this would be better with my homemade yogurt than it was with the buttermilk. I feel like because I didn't use a ton of fruit, I think the buttermilk was a little thin, and because generally buttermilk is low fat, it also means there wasn't a lot of fat in it. And so I think that my whole milk yogurt that I made in my kasori would have been better. It would have been thicker, and I'm really tempted just to add some of it. I also think it would have added more flavor. Yeah, this is a lot thicker than buttermilk. So much thicker. All right, miss, try yours, and I think I'm gonna put some more strawberries in it too. I assume the reason my mother called it glop was just because of the sound it makes when it goes in the glass. Yeah, it probably would make it more gloppy. Okay, so cup. I like to do whole meals and then have something like this as a snack in between meals if we're going to do something.
So we just got a comment that says, love you guys, you're the best, Merry Christmas.
I think we needed some punctuation. I've never been a Merry Christmas Eve at best.
Okay, love you guys. Talk to you later. I have fallen in love with chia seeds.
Chia seeds.
Was that knee jerk and you just couldn't help saying it even though it was completely random and out of the blue?
Every time I've heard chia forever. Oh my gosh, I love chia seeds. They're just the most amazing chia seeds. And chia seeds are just awesome. They're chia seeds. And I just think, chia.